Hey guys, it's Ash. Today I'm going to be taking you through a short hip mobility routine just using a foam roller and a mat. This is the kind of thing that you might want to do as a bit of a warm-up before a leg day in the gym, or if you've got a big run or cycle or some kind of activity coming up. You might also like to do this on a recovery day if you're feeling a bit heavy through your legs, tighten your hips, or even if you've just been sitting all day for work, driving, studying, and you feel like you need to loosen up through that joint between the lower body and the low back and pelvis. So to start with, I think it's really important just to test out how our hips are moving first, being aware of what's happening in our body. So to start with, just sitting down, you can do this in a chair or on the floor, just starting to rotate one thigh bone, just noticing what you can feel, how far you can twist this upper part of your leg, and then comparing it to the other side, just noticing if one feels a little bit freer or looser. And then from here, we're going to come into some 90-90. So sitting back, weight in your hands, rotating both knees. Can you touch the ground with both of those legs? And then heading over to the other side. Good. You might notice that one way feels a little bit tighter than the other. And we're going to come back at the end and retest these movements to see if we've had any luck in loosening up those hips. Good. We're going to take this into something a little bit more active now. So lifting our hands away, using our own strength to create that dynamic rotation movement. Starting to get a little bit of blood flow in through the hips, the low back, and you'll definitely feel your core working here. Lovely. Now we're going to grab that roller, popping it behind you and then sitting your bottom down on here. I just have a short roller, it's fine to do with a short or a long one. We're going to crisscross one ankle over the opposite knee, and we're wanting to start to roll through the back of that hip of the leg that we have crossed over there. So maybe we do a little bit of forwards and backwards. Good. Once you find a tight spot, so for me, around about there will do. We'll start to take some little side to side motion as well. Good. Nice. Just starting to loosen up, a little bit of self-massage, picking out any of those tight points. Good. Now from here, we're going to come onto our side a little bit more. It's important to know when we're talking about foam rolling our glutes, we're not just talking about one muscle. Glutes is made up of max, so 3 different muscles. And then underneath our glutes, we have our deep rotators as well, which are going to be contributing to how well our hip is functioning and moving. So again, with that leg straight, I'm just a little bit further around the side of my body now. A little bit of rocking backwards and forwards, up and down, feeling for those tight areas that need a bit of love. Good, and then finally, we're going to come a bit further around the front, thinking about where our front pocket would sit on our jeans to release a TFL muscle. Good, rolling up and down, feeling for those tight spots. Nice. Once we've had a good go at that, we'll come straight across to the other side. So sitting back up, just crossing that opposite ankle over the knee and doing the same thing on this second side. So rolling up and down first. Good, pausing on any tight points and then starting to take that little rock and roll side to side. Good, and you might notice that one leg feels a bit different to the other. And there might be different spots that you're working on the right compared to the left. Nice. It's also important to say here, you might get a little bit of referred pain going down your leg with this because that sciatic nerve is running underneath our glutes, some of our deep rotators here. So it can be a point of a little bit of pinching or just a little bit of pressure on that nerve. Good, and then finally getting onto our TFL front pocket, gentle rolling up and down. There's no magic way to do this, just supporting with your feet and arms however you need. So you're applying a tolerable amount of pressure to the side of your hip. Alrighty, nicely done. So that's kind of that posterior region, glutes and deep hip rotators. Now we're going to start to loosen up through the front of our hips, so our hip flexors a little bit more. We're going to keep that roller placed just underneath our pelvis, so we're elevated through our hips here. Laying flat on your back, we'll start by hugging one knee into the chest. So this leg that we're hugging in, we're not too worried about where he is. What we're looking for is to create a bit of length down that hip flexor of the leg that's left behind. So for you, if your foot's on the ground and you can feel that stretch starting to kick in here, that might be enough. If you need a little bit more, you might start to walk your foot further forward like I have here, intensifying that stretch. So for me, around about there is where I can start to feel that pulling. And to start with, we're just going to hold it here. Taking some deep breaths. And then we're going to move into a slightly more dynamic stretch. So sliding in and out with that heel. So what we're doing is just engaging that hip flexor by bringing the knee up and then lengthening as we drop it back down. Engaging, lengthening. For a little bit more, we might lift all the way up. Good, and then maybe we relax back into that stretch one final time on this side. Good, we'll go ahead and swap legs, hugging the other knee in, starting with that foot planted on the floor, and then sliding forwards to find that point of stretch for your body and your hip, remembering it might be different from left to right. Holding that stretch to start with, just a few deep breaths. And then from here, starting to make it a bit more dynamic, finding a few heel slides, engage the hip flexor, relax the hip flexor. A little bit more movement, squeeze through that hip flexor, lengthen it out. Squeeze, reach the foot down the mat. 3 more times. Nice, and just relaxing back into that stretch one final time. Lovely. From here, we're just going to take that roller out of the way for a second. Starting to get a little bit more movement, just a few double leg glute bridges, really squeezing our glutes, pressing through the heels into the mat as we lift and lower here. It's important that we're not just lengthening and pulling that muscle into a lengthened position. We're also engaging that muscle, getting blood flowing into that muscle, switching on those nerves. And then let's go ahead and cross one ankle over the opposite knee and find our single leg bridge here. A little bit of a double whammy. You'll feel the glute working harder of the foot that's still planted in the mat. Good and lovely bit of opening through that hip on the leg we've crisscrossed. Good, go ahead and swap those legs around. We're not wanting them to work all the way to fatigue here, just until we can feel some engagement, some activation if you like, through that working glute. Lovely. Alrighty, we're going to come onto our side next, placing that roller out in front of you. It's going to be resting our leg on that roller and starting to find a little bit of rotation through our lower back and hips. So you can rest your head down on your arm. I'm just going to grab a hold of my ribs with this hand and start to twist my chest open, trying to get my elbow to touch the floor behind me. Good, going a few times here. Hips are locked into position, nice and square with that roller in place. And then we're finding that lovely rotation through the spine. Good. On this next one, I'm going to hold back in that twist and take a little roll forwards and backwards. You should feel that limitation through your lower back. Nice one. From here, we're going to roll through our adductor because we're already in place. So we want that roller going across our thigh bone and then just starting to roll like you're going onto your tummy, forwards and backwards, working up and down through that adductor. Those inner thigh muscles we can sometimes neglect in our foam rolling. Nice one. We'll go straight across to the other side. Just going to flip ends of the mat, but you can obviously face the other direction for yourself. Nice. Nice. From here, we're placing that roller down again, resting the top leg on the roller, grabbing a hold of that rib cage and then opening up through the chest and get that elbow, touch the ground behind you, rotating open. Good, it's okay if you can't touch the ground. We're just wanting to get as much movement as we possibly can here. We'll hold this next one back. Just some active rotation, rolling forwards and backwards. Good, just noticing how tension in your low back could be limiting for that movement through your pelvis with this one. Nice, coming to that adductor foam roll, placing the roller just above your knee, crossways along your thigh bone, and starting to roll forwards and backwards like we're rolling onto our tummy. A little bit of love for our adductors here, a little bit of that massage. So nice. All right, we'll pop that roller out of the way. We're just going to finish up with a couple more active movements before we retest, and then you can get into your leg day workout or continue about your rest day. From here, we're going to find a lovely deep squat. So let's go slightly wider than our hips with the feet, toes slightly rotated out, and we're going to drop down to the bottom of that squat as low as you can go. Now remembering our squat depth isn't just influenced by our hip mobility. We're limited at our knees, at our ankles, and at our low backs as well. So there's lots of things that might contribute to this feeling a little bit tighter. We're going to take some gentle rocks from side to side. Good, maybe we press our elbows out into our knees, just opening up through those inner thighs. If this one is no good for you, you can just skip this deep squat, especially if you've got grumpy knees. Good, standing all the way back up. We're going to widen those legs, coming into our little Cossack squat, our lateral lunge. Toes stay rotated out. We're going to drop down over one side. See how low you can get into that lunge. Now I'm pretty bendy this way. You don't have to get right down to the ground. Good, pushing back up through the middle, dropping into that lateral lunge on the other side. Just a few times each side at your own pace here. Feeling into that deep lateral lunge shape. One more time each way. Nice, we're going to head across to that first side. We're going to rotate towards that leg. So we're coming into our runner's lunge here. So keeping your knee off the ground if you can behind you. If you need a little bit more support, go ahead and drop that knee down onto the mat. Good, and from here, we're going to take the hand that's closest to our front knee and just press open. So we're lifting through the chest, we're pushing open through that front knee. You should feel a lovely deep stretch through that back hip flexor. All of the good things happening in this one. Feels really nice. Good, coming back through center, we'll head across to the other side. Rotating towards that front leg. Nearest hand to the knee, pressing away. Good option for knee down or knee lifted for something a little bit stronger. So nice, we'll go one more time each side, rounding it all out. Rotate towards that front leg. Knee down or knee lifted, nearest hand pressing the leg away. And last one, heading across to the second side. Rotate towards the leg and open up that front knee. So nice, we'll come back down, do a little retest, see how our hips feel after all of those movements. Lengthening back out however you started, starting to rotate that thigh bone. Hopefully that feels a little bit looser. Comparing to the other side, remembering which one felt a little bit stiffer at the very start. Good, and then leaning back on our hands, planting our heels in the ground and testing out that lovely 90-90 twist. Great. All right guys, hopefully that gave you a few ideas of some movements you might like to add into your hip mobility routine on a leg day or anytime you're just feeling a bit of restriction through your hips. If you like that video, I'd love it if you would hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.